Cleveland Browns at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'll start with this one. My matchup that matters, a little curveball here for you folks. It's DeShaun Watson versus Jameis Winston. That's my matchup that matters here in this game because we are getting closer to Cleveland having to make an impossible decision to bench the most expensive, uncuttable, untradeable player in the NFL in DeShaun Watson. Yeah. Because last week, it just straight up was not good. Now, it wasn't, I don't want to say it was all on him, but a lot of it's on him. He's got to straight up play better. You have that tag. You're getting paid all this money to play much better. 56 dropbacks last week. That was the most in the NFL. Yet the EPA per pass for this team was 25th. Watson was just 3 for 12 when throwing the ball 10 or more yards down the field. And I think that is really the point here about DeShaun Watson with this play on the field is that he does not feel comfortable. It does not look like he can throw the ball deep down the field. I don't know if his shoulder still hurts. I don't know if it's something he is still working out from his injury last year, if he's ever going to be the same or what. But they held him out of the preseason because of general arm soreness. And they try to just say it's not a big deal. He can't throw deep. He couldn't throw deep last week against the Cowboys. And so there's got to come a point where you go, this team is too good to just continue to throw Watson out there, no matter how much money you are paying him. Because Jameis, to be honest, might be better than him at this point. And I don't think that they're going to bench him this week, but that is truly the matchup that matters here. Is DeShaun Watson even capable enough to show that he's better than the backup quarterback on the team, or is the only reason why you're playing him because you're paying him? And this is going to be another question to answer in that. Obviously, there's some stuff that we get to talk about with the Jags as well, but if it looks as bad for DeShaun as it did last week, you are going to have to start having the conversation of, it does not matter how much you're paying him. You are losing games by keeping him out there because the rest of the team is just too good. Not that they're perfect, but the rest of the team is too good to be failing on offense with him as a catalyst the way that it has been. So that, honestly, that is my matchup that matters most.
Yeah. No one made you give him that contract. No one made you do that vote of confidence, especially with everything going on.
They did that themselves.
I don't feel bad for them when it comes to that. I do feel bad for the rest of the team because the defense is still great. Myles Garrett is arguably one of the best players. Not arguably, he is one of the best players in the league. He could be the best player in the league. And so my matchup, I saw that, you were going the Watson route. So I'm like, all right, let me go the opposite. Let me go Myles Garrett and the Jags tackles. Because he had 27 snaps last week, 3 pressures, 2 quarterback hurries. So I want to, the Jags tackles are just going to have so much on their plate between if they rotate where Myles Garrett is. They're also, they didn't do well last week. You got Anton Harrison gave up 2 sacks, 4 pressures. Cam Robinson did better.
Yeah,
he didn't give up a sack. He had 1 pressure allowed. So I'm like, all right, maybe that's not the side they attack them. And that's going to be just really interesting to see how you can get to Trevor Lawrence through Myles Garrett, because there are not many guys, if any, that can truly contend with Myles Garrett, and especially when you have question marks along the offensive line for Jacksonville. I'm not confident that that's going to go well for them.
My plus factor, I'm going to go back to the Jags, or I'm going to stick with the Jags on the offensive side of the ball. Brian Thomas Jr., their rookie wide receiver. Look, only 4 catches for 47 yards last week, but he had a touchdown. When you dig into all of the plays, all the snaps that he had, especially receiving snaps, Carmen, this dude is going to be a stud. I mean, he is going to be awesome. When I watched him at LSU, the question was not, is this guy incredibly talented? Because he is incredibly talented. It was, does he have the ability to become a better, more versatile route runner? Because basically everything that he ran when he was at LSU was a comeback, a slant, a vertical route, a post. That's basically all that he was running. It was very simple stuff. And he was so talented, and LSU's offense was so good, you didn't really need anything else. I think he was top 3 in all of college football in deep throws and average depth of target and all that good stuff. It's just what he did best, which is why I love the pick for Jacksonville, because it's what they want to do. But I'm watching him last week. I already see better route running. Like he's able to stop on a dime well. He's able to set corners up with inside or outside leverage. We didn't even get to work him over the middle very much for these yards after catch opportunities. He ended up having the highest threat wide receiver usage for any of the wide receivers on the Jags last week at 22.7%. And he had the highest QBR when targeted on the team at 145.4. Obviously, the touchdown helps with that. But to me, I think that this guy's going to start to get more looks when it matters. Obviously, they threw the touchdown to them when they were in the red zone, but it was like a third down thing. I think they're going to start to prioritize Brian Thomas Jr. on third downs in between the 20s and on early downs when they get into the red zone, especially like within the 10-yard line as well. I believe that we're going to continue to take steps towards this guy being a stud and their wide receiver one, because I was so impressed with just the movement skills, the improved route running, everything from this dude. He's awesome. Who's your plus factor here?
Yeah, well, really quick on BTJ, because they did joint practices with the Buccaneers, and I talked to some of the Bucs coaches about BTJ in particular, because I now have a vested interest in LSU and wide receiver U, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
It's not DBU anymore, unfortunately. It's wide receiver U still. And every single one of them was like, this dude has it. He's going to be so good. And that's absolutely why he was drafted. It was to climb up to that wide receiver one spot. I think that he's going to end up having a wonderful rapport with Trevor Lawrence, but he has whatever it is. He's already his floor is so high. And then you just mentioned it, how the route running has even improved from college to preseason to now the regular season. This ascent is going to be quick for Brian Thomas Jr.
Yep.
Right. Yes. I went the other side because of what we were talking about before with DeShaun Watson not being able to get this pass game going. Well, then what are you going to do? You're going to try and lean on your running back, and you're going to try to lean on Jerome Ford. The thing is, though, the Jacksonville Jaguars only let up 81 rushing yards to the Miami Dolphins, who had two different running backs with 12 carries. But Jerome Ford only had a 3.7 yard per carry average last week versus Cowboys. So I don't know how this is going to go. It's how the Jags so far, again, only one game sample size, have been good against the run. Jerome Ford has not been able to get going, but neither has any part of the Cleveland offense. So something has to give here. And if it's not DeShaun Watson, it's got to be the backfield. And it's going to be even worse because you have both tackles are hurt when it comes on Cleveland. So I don't know how it's going to go in the run blocking game for Jerome Ford. I don't think they're going to make it easier on him. But Cleveland's going to need it if they want any sort of offense and want to complement this defense, because this defense probably isn't going to let up a lot of points, but you still need to score some.